And thank you for joining today. And as usual, we'll start with the short breathing exercise, meditations, to quiet our mind, to bring our mind in the moment, in present. Okay. So try to make yourself comfortable, relax. And feel the weight of your body on cushion or on the chair. And as you breathe in and out normally, naturally, try to keep your attention, mind, watching the breath and being aware of it. When you inhale, watch it mindfully and be aware you are inhaling. As you exhale, watch it mindfully and be aware you are breathing out. So simply just watching and being aware. Then we can try to generate good motivation, intention being here. For example, we can think by us coming here together, giving our precious time, energy, resource to listen and engage in discussions and reflecting on the meaning of what we have heard, contemplating. May all of this become cause and conditions for us to have wisdom, understanding or realizing the nature of impermanent, and as well as realization of emptiness. And through those understanding realizations, so we can reduce, minimize, and overcome our afflictive emotions, those disturbing negative emotions. And may it be cause and conditions to actualize our highest potential, the fully awakened state. So we can be not only help and benefit, but the greatest help and benefit to oneself and all sentient beings. May we always be helpful, beneficial, and kind to others, all sentient beings, directly, indirectly. And even we can't be much help and benefit, may we never harm and hurt others intentionally. Okay?
Music, sure. We'll do just a few prayers before the teaching. And we'll start with the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. We'll do the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha 3 times in English. To the founder,
perfect knowledge and conduct. Keep your hearts and things to you the complete and fully awaiting mind. Daily knowledge and the destroyer. The Lord is Sanctuary, the virtue of the Shakti and prosperity of faith and of the the completely perfected, fully awakened being. Raising knowledge and knowledge. To the fountain of the completely God and attain. There are gods and human beings. We live the complete and fully awakened one. Then God can send a destroyer. The Lord is Sanctuary, the subject of the time and the prosperity of all things and of the refuge. To the founder, the God and send a destroyer. The one God beyond, the Holy Spirit, the completely perfect and fully awakened being. Perfect in knowledge and conduct. To God that no the world. Superior God and human beings attain. To the highest human beings. We do the complete and fully awakened mind. And God changes and destroyer. The Lord is Sanctuary. I prostrate for honors and over refuge.
and then we'll do the short mandala offering once in English. This ground
with you, spread the flowers, I deliver now every forward kindness.
I imagine the building of the may
All living beings be united to your plan.
We'll do the refuge and bodhicitta once in English, twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge to light. To the Buddha, the refuge by the merits I created through listening to the Dharma. May I become a Buddha, never be benefit of all intelligent beings. Janju Bari Dagi Yatsuji Dagi Chöre Sonandi Rola Encher Sangye Drupa Shiro Samangye Charan Sangye Chonanma Janju Bari Dagi Yatsuji Dagi Chöre Sonandi Rola Encher Sangye Drupa Shiro.
Does anyone need that text? Sutra? Yeah.
A copy of the text we're working on.
So so we have been discussing on this particular sutra, a teaching by Buddha himself on impermanent. And at the very beginning, he starts how all conditions, things or phenomena, objects are transitory, ever changing. And then especially when it comes to life, then also, anyone who is born, also they have to face the end, the death. No one is exceptions. And he explained, the most powerful king, even he had to die. Even the most wealthy person, he had to die. Even the most smartest person or being, he also have to die or face the death because they are born. Anyone who is born in samsara, they have to face that, and we are not exceptions. And not only that, even those who are on the path to enlightenment, also they have to die. Not only those who are already on the path, even those who have achieved enlightenment, to enlightenment, even including those who have achieved great enlightenment, the fully awakened state Buddhahood, even they have to leave the body behind, this particular body, they have to leave behind. And so even such enlightened being, even if they have to face that reality, the death, then of course we are no exceptions. So again, then being aware, that one day we will all have to face the death, and being accepting that is okay. It's okay. It's a natural, nothing to be so fearful about it. It's not something happening to you that is undeserved. I don't know, deserve that I would. It's not something that is happening to just yourself. And as I mentioned before, it's nothing to do with someone punishing you or anything, but it's the way things are. It's just the thing we are. We plant different plants, flowers, vegetables in certain season, and then there's end to it. When the seasons finish, they come to end. And that is how natural it is. As much as you want to keep all time, it is not. It comes and goes. It comes, and that's part of nature. Coming, going, you know. Similarly, life is that. Similarly, life is similar in that way. Life comes into existence. We are born. Life comes to existence, and then it ends. And from Buddhist point of view, again, we come into existence. Again, it comes to end. Again, and until we are free from all the delusions, and then there is no more samsaric birth, and therefore there is no the death. So until then, that is part of that. So I think that was what we have been kind of going through, and we are at the very end where it. Well, before that, I think I want to mention something. So the meditations with that is, we contemplate, think and contemplate about that everyone will have to face, and we will have to face one day. And with that awareness, meditation, we try to have that awareness all the time. And that helps you, when we have that awareness, it really helps you to be on the path. It really helps you to be more kind, more compassionate. It really helps you to be more content instead of having, never satisfying desire, wanting more and better, no matter how much we have, never being content. But when we have awareness of that all the time, then, because it helps us to be what is important when I die. So that guides you. It gives you some kind of guidance, how you want to live your life. Many people who have near death, and when they come out of that near death, their life changes. Their perception about life changes. Their direction changes because they realize, what really is important when that comes. And because they experience so close, there are many stories, of people completely changing what is important in their life once they have that experience. Similarly, when you have that realization, that awareness all the time, then that is what it helps us, And not only we need to have this awareness, that we will experience death one day, but also to have this awareness that one day could be any time. It could mean 40 years for me. It could mean 30 years, 20 years. It could be in 10 years, within 10 years. It could be maybe within 5 years. Maybe it could be within 1 year, this year. Or it could be even 1 month. Or maybe even in 1 week. It is possible. There's no guarantee that I will still be alive after tomorrow, within next week, within next month, next year, and so forth. And to be that awareness all the time, not only death will come, but it could come anytime. It could come anytime, any moment. If we have that awareness, then mentally physically, especially mentally, we can prepare ourselves. And when we have prepared ourselves, then when it does come, whenever it comes, you will be able to deal with that with less pain, with much easy, with less struggles, less pain. If we are not prepared and then it comes, then your mind can be very, disturbed with different emotions, different disturbing negative emotion, thoughts. We wouldn't be able to know how to deal with that because we are not prepared. On the other hand, if we are prepared, then even if it comes next week, you are ready. If it doesn't come next week, you have one more month extra, even greater. Mentally, you are prepared. You are ready. And whenever it comes, you are ready, prepared, And so with that awareness, that understanding and awareness, to have that awareness all the time. The purpose of meditation is to have that awareness all the time. That awareness, not just one time, but to have that awareness all the time. For example, like sometimes we experience certain experience in our life. We lose someone who is very dear to us. We didn't expect it, And suddenly we feel, because they are very close to us, we are very close to them, then it feels, the life is very fragile, unpredictable. Death could come to anyone, anytime. You feel that because you're so close, you have that understanding of awareness. And if you see, then that awareness, that understanding, help you to have certain shift in your mind about life, purpose of life, meaning of life. But with the time, then again, we lose that. Days go by, week goes by, months go by, year go by, and then again, we don't have that awareness. And then again, our mind is in not same directions that we were at one time. And then again, we get very distracted with so many other things, not so important things. But if we have that awareness all the time, then it really helps to direct us on our path to make our life meaningful, by putting more effort in our spiritual path, in changing and transforming our mind, to become more kind, more compassionate, more content, to have more wisdom, inner wisdom, working with our own mind instead of spending all our time chasing after something external with the hope that will make our life better. So really that what we call realization or that awareness would really help us to be on the path and to practice our spiritual path. And by engaging and putting more effort in that our spiritual path, it brings us more inner peace, inner joy, inner satisfactions. It helps us to be more calm, peaceful. And when you are that, it helps us to develop more kind compassion and to be more kind compassion to others. In that way, it helps us, it helps others immediately in this life. And also, it leads us closer and closer to fully enlightenment, ultimate happiness. So that is something that the purpose of the Buddha giving these teachings to have a better, profound understanding or realization of impermanence, and especially that impermanence, is to have that awareness. In order to have that awareness, and the reason why we should have that awareness, when we have that awareness, then it helps in so many different ways to to keep us on the path and from being lost and being distracted to not so important things. So if you go to the, where it says 1.14, I think that is where we are. So said the blessed one. So the blessed one here refers to the Buddha. After Sukada said this, the Sukada is one of the, Buddha's disciple, and he is known for his ability to ask the right question or correct question in the right way, and so you find him in many sutras. Said this, and the teacher spoke further. The teacher here again, Buddha. The Buddha spoke again more. Alas, conditioned state are impermanent. So all the conditions, states, phenomena, things, objects are impermanent, ever changing. Anything that is conditioned to cause and effect. Cause and conditions. Anything that come into existence due to its previous cause and conditions, they are conditioned phenomena. And they are the nature of such conditions, phenomena or things are ever changing, permanent. Ever changing, impermanent, not permanent, impermanent, impermanent. So including, the samsara is a conditioned phenomenon, and therefore also samsara is impermanent. Suffering is also impermanent. Therefore also suffering can come to an end. We don't have to suffer all the time. Suffering also has an end. Samsara also has an end. And such impermanent are subject to arising and decaying, So all due to cause and condition coming together, all these things, phenomena, arise, come into existence, or being produced, and then it abides for how much ever, and then it started to decay, disintegrate, And it is nothing but it's just a natural law. It's just a natural law. Just as the law of gravity has certain things. Similarly, the natural law of cause and effect is, the natural law of cause and effect is that anything that is being produced or come into existence or arise due to certain cause and condition, they all decay, they all disintegrate, they all come to the end. Nothing lasts forever. That is general law of cause and effect. That is the same with our life. That is the same with our experience, feelings. Our life is in that same nature. Our life also follow same law. So is our experience, our thoughts, mind, our bodies, and everything's surrounding. Therefore, having arisen, they are sure to be destroyed. So anything that come into productions or existing, arising, over the time, it will also come to the end or be destroyed. It will come to an end. It does not last, cannot go forever. The nature of things and if we look everything around, that is what it is. So is this planet. If you started the whole permanence of this planet, you are going to be more, your mind is more going to be panicked more. Because we're starting, it shouldn't be coming to end, and it will come to the end. Do you get it? But of course, there are things that we can make it whatever with our actions to stop, slow down that coming of end of that. Certain things by changing certain cause and condition through our action, we can slow it down. But we cannot stop from, being destroyed at one time. We don't know how long that takes, 100 years, 1,000 years, 100,000 years, millions, whatever, how much ever it takes, but it is that, and even the planet, even the whole universe, galaxies, everything's, they all come to an end, destroyed. The thing is that one planet come to an end, another planet come to existence. It's just like that. It's coming and going, arising and decaying, coming and going, being produced and coming to an end. That is how things are, everything's. Happiness is to bring them to rest, and with that understanding, again, as I said, sometimes I have to guess a little bit, because sometimes I don't, as I said, I don't have the Tibetan mind, so then sometimes with the translations, when you are able to accept that reality by understanding the nature of such things, when you are able to accept it, then it brings your mind more calm, peaceful, instead of trying to fight with the reality. Do you get it? The nature of things, it is come to end, but we don't want it to end. Do you get it? But we cannot stop come from being end. And that is the constant struggles, mental pain and suffering. I don't want to lose my life, but I cannot stop from losing my life. I do not want to lose life of my dear ones, but I cannot stop from them losing. One day, no matter what I do, I will lose them one day. I cannot stop. But trying to fight against that reality, that nature, become much more painful, much more suffering. But instead, we understand nature is not with my beloved one, everyone experience. I also have to experience that. And so, being okay with that, being accepting with that, accepting that everything's come to end, and being okay with that can give your mind much more peace, calm, rest, and less sufferings, less pain. less suffering, less pain. What joy, that pleasure is there in a conflagrations? What does that mean?
With fire.
Mm-hmm. What joy, what pleasure is there in the contemplations? If we do not accept that reality, that fact, the impermanent nature of everything, that everything that arises, that it decays, everything that is produced come to an end. Everything that arises, it destroys. If we don't have, that understanding, and then if we don't have that understanding, realization, and that acceptance, then they will have like being in a fire. Your mind is constantly disturbed. Constantly disturbed. Too much worry, too much fear, too much panic. And being in that state of mind is being like in a fire, big fire. And when you are in that state of mind, cannot really have inner peace, joy, happiness. How can you have inner peace, joy, happiness inside? Pleasure, joy inside, inner, when your mind is constantly too much panic and too much fearful, too much worry. And when you have this mind trying to fight against the fact reality that you can stop. And you do happen enter in darkness, and in that way, then we allow our mind to be in that darkness, of not understanding the impermanent nature, instead holding as permanent. The ignorance of grasping is a permanent by not realizing or understanding the impermanent nature. And due to that darkness, living in that darkness of, the ignorance of grasping permanent, then we suffer. We suffer. And so therefore, if you don't want to suffer, if you don't want to be in darkness, then why do you not seek for a lamp? Why don't you seek for a lamp of the wisdom? The wisdom is the lamp that ignorance the darkness. The ignorance of grasping those conditions, phenomena to be permanent nature is the ignorance. That's the darkness that gives rise to many afflictive emotions, fear, worry, and many others. Disturbing emotions. On the other hand, the lamp of the wisdom, the light of the wisdom that understand and realize the impermanent nature of all these conditioned phenomena help us to overcome that darkness, and that help us to find, inner peace, inner happiness, joy. So here is saying, why do you not seek for a lamp? That is the wisdom, relies on the impermanent nature. And to have that wisdom relies on the impermanent nature of all conditioned phenomena, then of course we need to contemplate and meditate. In one of the Buddha's another teaching, Sutra, Buddha explained, if you open your mind or all your consciousness, sense consciousness, everything that you see, everything you hear, everything you smell, everything you taste, everything you touch, everything that comes in your mind, thoughts, if you keep your mind open and with all this consciousness of mind, you see everything's impermanent every time. The teaching of impermanence is there all the time. All the time. If you look in the sky, it is changing all the time. If you look in the plant, it's changing all the time. You see everything around, it's constantly changing. Everything we see, everything we hear, that doesn't last. Every sound is there for a moment and it's gone. You hear the sound of the car passing, but it's a moment, it's gone. It doesn't last forever. It's momentary. You hear the sound of me, whatever word or sentence. One sentence you hear and it's gone. Next one is a different sentence, different words. Comes and goes, doesn't last forever. The sound, whether it's sound from the sentient beings or whether it's a natural sound, everything we smell, you smell smoke, but it doesn't remain forever. You smell for a moment and then it's gone. One moment you think, oh, maybe there was fire because you smoke. And then the next moment is maybe there was not, Or you smell someone cooking and then there's some for a moment and when it's gone. It comes and goes, it's never there permanently. Everything we smell, good or bad. Everything we taste, whether it's sour, bitter, sweet, hot, we feel that moment for a moment and then it's gone. It never lasts forever. It's momentary. Everything that we experience with our body sensations, the wind comes and we feel kind of breeze coming, but then it comes and goes. And then again, we feel hot because there's no breeze. And again, the breeze comes and goes. Coming, going, coming, going, coming, existing, ending, So it rains, but it doesn't rain forever. It stops. End to that. So whatever we feel physically, warm, cold, kind of smooth or rough, whatever, again, all those different bodily experience we experience, they all are temporary, impermanent nature. We experience whatever we experience for a moment, and then again it changes, it's gone. And same in our mind, thoughts, whatever different image, object, thoughts, whatever comes in our mind, it comes and goes. One thought comes and then it's gone, another thought comes, and that is gone, another thought comes, comes and goes. So if we, as Buddha said, if your mind is open with your consciousness or sense, five sense consciousness and mental consciousness, if it's open, impermanent is everywhere. Everywhere. You see all the time. All the time, it's everywhere. So that is so we try to, observe them, and then trying to have understanding. Oh, This is impermanent. This is also impermanent. This is ever changing. This is ever changing. That is also ever changing. This is ever changing, never lasts, comes and goes, arise and decays, So with that understanding, we try to meditate, contemplate, think deeply, and then try to that awareness, all the time, that wisdom, that awareness, the wisdom that relies that impermanent nature. Just as the clay pots that are made by the potters all end in destructions. So, all the pots made by the potteries, whatever pots, whether it's clay pot, whatever material that it might be made, they all will get destruction. They all will break one day. We might find some pieces of potteries from 200 years, 300 years, but they are broken pieces. It's hard to find unbroken potteries that is 2,000, 3,000 years old. Even if you are able to find one of them, still, if you go 5,000, 10,000, we cannot find. But it will all come to destruction one day, or come to the end. So it is with the life of beings, same with the life of beings, beings. Any living beings, also everything come to the end. Everyone come to the end. Some might live, 20 years, few years. Some, I guess someone told me, flies only like 3-4 days. And I think there are some others just one day, And so some life, come to an end within one day, some 3 days, 4 days, some weeks, months, years, some decades, some centuries, maybe some few centuries in some others, I don't know, some other animals or some others. But it come to the end. It come to end, every life, every living beings come to the end. Another example here giving, just as the ripe fruit is forever in danger of falling, when the fruit is ripening, then it might fall, because So it is with the being born with conditioned state, So anyone who is born with a conditioned state means, with the karma, contaminated karma and the delusions, anything that is born in that, then so they also have to die. They also have to come to the end of their life, And because of that, because we all have to die, always afraid of death, because no one wants to die, in general speaking, But if we prepare ourselves through our training and practice, you don't have to be afraid of the death. If you have not trained your mind, if you have not prepared yourself, then you could be afraid of the death. But someone who has prepared themselves, they are not afraid of death. They are not afraid of death. So many beings. Even I mentioned recently, one of my friends, Israel, he passed away, not long ago, little bit more than two months. And when he knew he was hospital and the doctor told he will not make it, he was fine. He texted me, he says he was not afraid. He was not afraid to face that. And he said these 20 years of his practice has helped him not to be afraid. And people who were there when he was dying, they say he died very peacefully. He was not fearful, panic, anything like that, very calm, peaceful. And, we have seen many people like that. Because once someone who has prepared, well, they're not afraid of that. They're not afraid. Of course, someone who is not prepared, then they could have a lot of fear, a lot of fear of that. So, and therefore we have to prepare now, because we never know when that will come. If somehow the doctor says, you have only 1 more week, 1 more month, that you are not fearful and being okay and ready to accept that. Instead of being bitter and angry and why is happening to me? I don't deserve this, I'm then ready for now, why is all kind of that kind of mental anguish, all kind of this mental emotional pain and struggles and anguish. You just, okay, is the time ready? With my friend Israel, the moment, few moments before he passed away, he texted me and said, goodbye, see you next time. Yeah, that was what he texted, goodbye for now and see you next time. So, and then next one, all that is accumulated is exhausted in the end. Everything that we accumulate, whatever we accumulate, everything at the end, it comes to the end, exhaustion, we leave behind everything, You are billionaire, and then next week you can be a millionaire. And in the next week you might become a homeless too. Everything you have accumulated, and there are a lot of stories, people who lose many billions in a week or day, from being one most rich become to no one. Someone who has so much and end up in being a street, nothing is permanent, nothing is permanent, Yeah, my father lost everything in it, like this, 20, 30 years of his all hard work earnings. He lost him like that, So all the accumulations that he had accumulated with so much hardship for so many 30 years, gone like that. In a moment, everything's gone. And that was a wake-up call for him. And that shifted his mind to become spiritual. He saw essenceless, meaningless of all this, running and running to accumulate for all these years. And then it's gone like this. It's gone like that. He saw it was kind of meaningless. In his, because I guess maybe because the support of Dharma, instead of being depressed and negative, it kind of helped him to pursue his spiritual path more seriously. And that's what he did. I also heard another friend's brother-in-law who also used to live close to my brother, and he also had a big house in a very, rich area, a very big house, big business. But again, he also lost everything in a short period. In a very short period, again, he lost all of that. And then he to living, he had to rely on, his in-laws' help to have a place to stay, But again, same to that guy, that kind of, before he wasn't so spiritual, he was kind of more running after the wealth, trying to make money, all of that. But after that, then, she just went into spiritual. Again, for him, he also felt like, what everything that I have done and all the time, energy, resource, everything you spend, sometimes you lie to make, sometimes you have to cheat others, all of that, to accumulate all of that at the end, for what? For what? At the end, it goes like that. For what? So that shift his mind and saw the importance of the spiritual path, meaning of the spiritual path. And then he really seriously pursue the spiritual path. And now he's in that spiritual path. He's more happy than before when he has so much. He has less now, but he's much more happy. And I think that might happen same with my father. Even though they didn't have much, but they are much more happier. And that is what it might. So that is where it's all that has been accumulated, it exhausted in the end. Even you don't lose, someone doesn't lose everything now. When you die, that is lost. Everything you gone. You live somewhere, someone, you cannot take one penny with you. As Buddha said, when you die, the most rich king and most poor beggar, they die same, empty-handed. Both of them, they go empty-handed. When they die similarly. They both go empty, leaving everything behind, both. Whatever they have, whatever they don't have, What is elevated fall into the end, Someone can become very famous and then have a great fame or reputation, and then boom, bad reputations, and they lose fame, and from becoming role model or idol to someone everyone talk bad about. Do you get it? Someone being most powerful leader to no one, Someone being most rich to no one, nothing. So someone can be elevated, however high you can go in different status, and so forth. But, they cannot keep that all the time. One day it falls. One day it falls. One day it falls. That is the nature. That is the nature of things. That is why you see it everywhere. All these celebrities. Whether it's stars, movie stars, or singers, whether it's stars in the sports, they reach a peak, then they go down. They cannot keep that peak all their life. They're on the peak, and then someone come on the peak, and then they are down. There's world number one, and then they become no one. They are not in the ranking even among the hundreds after some time. You get it? At one time, they were the ranking one in the world. And some are able to keep there for, I don't know, few months, few years, maybe a few decades. Then they start to decline in that area where that make them to the peak. And then after a few years or decade, then they are not even within the hundreds in that ranking. They are not within the maybe within the even thousands of rankings. So once nothing can remain, once what is elevated, cannot remain there all the time. It falls at the end. Unions in separations. We come in, together, and anyone we come together, at the end we separate. We are here together now, after 50 years, we will all be separated, most likely. Definitely after 100 years, we all be separated, no doubt. After 100 years, many of us might be separated, sooner, some later. But, friends, families, colleagues, we all come together, union, meet, and then we cannot keep that relationship forever. One day we'll be separated. Sometimes friends become enemy. Even among families, they could end up becoming an enemy. Even among colleagues, they can end up being enemy and being separated from being friends to enemy. Loving to liking and loving to disliking each other's. And then physically, one day we all be separated, regardless of whether that relationship change or not change while we're alive. Even we have been able to remain close friends all our life. Even we are able to remain among the families as caring and loving with each other. Still, we will be separated one day. Either we die first or they die first. And then that will be separations. And that is the nature of that, Life indeed concludes with the death, Life indeed, as much as we don't want, but, the nature of life is such because it's a conditioned phenomenon, because it's impermanent, therefore it concludes. And with the death, and with that death, separations. Separation permanently in this life. Separation permanently in this life. So this is something we have to reflect, contemplate, We really reflect, contemplate. Through that reflection, contemplation, meditations, then we learn to be okay and accepting with that. everything that come in together will end up separating. Everything that is elevated, it will fall one day. Everything that is accumulated will come to cease or exhaustion one day. And with that understanding, through that reflect contemplation, then we begin to, be accepting, being okay with that. And that kind of accepting and being okay will make your mind to rest much more peace, to find much more peace when it does happen. If it does happen, when it does happen, how long, how much even it takes, you are not shocked, you are not completely shocked, you are aware of that was coming. You are aware that it was coming. And you are ready for that. You are aware and you are prepared and you are ready for that. And so, you don't have that emotional, mental struggles and pain, And if you don't have that, then not only it makes you more easy to deal with that without so much pain, but it also, as I mentioned before, everyone who is left behind also put them in much more ease, For example, Israel, as well as, my father's, even though I lost him, even though it's great lost, and but the way they died so peacefully, calm, peacefully, in that positive spiritual way, and while they are doing practice spiritually, and that gives us a lot of comfort. Everyone that have left behind, their families, their friends, our minds being comforted, that they pass away peacefully and in a spiritual way. That is much more. On the other hand, if I see them, a lot of struggles, a lot of pain, suffering, it could bother you. Still, even when they are gone, it could bother you for days, weeks, months, years, So said the blessed one in the assembly, that those who are listening, was delighted, and those monks rejoiced at the speech of the blessed one here in the noble Sutra of Impermanence. So that ends the sutra, and also with that, I think again, we have to understand why it's so important to reflect and contemplate on impermanent. If we contemplate and meditate on impermanent, and if we are aware of that, how that will help, how it will benefit. So, and with that understanding, then we try to contemplate and meditate more on that. And through more contemplative meditation, it will help you to be more prepared, more aware, more prepared, and then when it does happen, then you have better tools. You have all the tools to deal with that. So you don't struggle and have so much pain and suffering. Okay, so I think that. So then I will kind of take some questions. Yes, please.
Well, sometimes I think about what if things were permanent, and that's terrifying. Because let's say, so a woman giving birth would always be giving birth. This was pretty terrifying. Or if somehow or other we spontaneously arrived as babies, we'd always be babies.
Mhm.
That's terrifying. If somehow we spontaneously arise as whatever,
Mhm.
as an adult with in a permanent situation that never changed, and that we had no ability to change the causes and conditions, and we were just stuck in that. That's terrifying.
Mhm.
The fact that everything does change, that everything is based on causes and conditions, is the only way we could have any peace.
Mhm. Yeah, especially as you said, especially let's think about what make our life unhappy. Okay, our dissatisfied mind, our agitating mind, our disturbing mind, frustration, impatience, anger, rages, never satisfied mind, always wanting better, more and more, that kind of craving or desire that if they are permanent, then, we cannot really find, there's no way we can really find inner peace. We will always have those mind, those emotions all the time. That is scary, as you said. Imagine sometimes we do have moment of rages. Imagine having that every day, 24 hours, weeks and months, how miserable your life will become to be in that rage. There are moments when we have kind of a rage where you lose your mind, you curse, all of that. And afterwards, you think, what am I doing? What was I doing? What was I thinking? Why did that? Wish you never had that thought. Imagine that's permanent. You have 24 hours of that. 7 days a week, month. It is hell. It's hell. The good is impermanent. It only lasted for whatever, how much it lasts, few seconds, few minutes, or few hours. That is it. It's wonderful that it was impermanent. Otherwise, it would be miserable in that. And so, therefore, there's no way we can find real inner peace if that was permanent. So, again, I'm glad you brought that caution, because sometimes when we think of impermanent, we only think, as something negative. Do you get it? Oh, I wish, because there are certain good things that in our life we don't want to end, isn't it? And so when we think of impermanent, we only think of losing those ones. Do you get it? When we think impermanent, we only think of losing that are something we don't want to lose. So it seems like negative. But imagine there are a lot of things we don't want to have. We want to lose, want to get rid of, which we are unable to. And because it's impermanent, it's possible to get rid of them and to change them. And just like I give you an example, all those negative emotions. So therefore, we have to also think impermanent is positive and good, so it doesn't become so depressing. Do you get it? By meditating on impermanent, being depressed, because you only think of losing that you don't want to lose. But it is not only that, all the bad things that we don't want to hold on is because of impermanent that is possible of that. Okay, Leila, and then yes.
Well, what I do feel is that, I mean, I love the idea of impermanence.
Mhm.
I'm the one that whenever I even hear that word, I just kind of relax and like, thank God, you know.
Mhm.
But I also feel that knowing everything is impermanent is causing me to act in a way so that I can give more
Mhm.
to people that I love in another place.
Mhm.
But at my age, I do feel like I'm in a hurry to accomplish what I need to accomplish. And I don't know if that's, not honoring impermanence or what.
No, I think that is what meditation impermanent is something that help you to feel urgency, in our Dharma practice.
Yeah.
Urgency to practice the Dharma because life could come to an end any times. And therefore we want to make most of it while we still have, therefore, wanting to be more kind, compassion as much as, and as you said, as much as giving without that kind of love and compassion, because you want to do as much as you want while you still have this opportunity with this life, And so while it is good that, it is giving you sense of feeling of urgency and feeling of doing that, and to do, but at the same time, as much as we want to do, sometimes we also have to recognize and accepting also we have limitations. Okay. As much as I want to solve the problem of the world, also I have to accept there is limitations. As much as I want to get rid of, no one die with starvations. No one have to die without not having to get a support for when they are sick, health support. And nobody has to let out not having the opportunity to study and have educations, but also at the same time, also I have to accept and be accepting that as much as I want and as much as you have that wish, you try to develop that wish, but also that I have limitations, how much I can, and I can do only what I can according to my present situation, depending on your resources, depending on your health, depending on all of that, so we try to do as much as we can. At the same time, we have the intention to do more in the future, to develop that wish, the Bodhisattva's aspirations in the future, we will be able to do more, so that we continue where we left this in this life, and so we can continue next and to build out from there and to be able to do more and more. Yeah. Stella, yes.
It's nothing, Geshe-la. I just wanted to say with what the words that you were talking before, that it's a blessing that we have impermanence. And I think if we really start looking at everything that we think is bad about impermanence, if we look at it like that, even the things, that we love, if we think of it in terms of impermanence, it can be a blessing in disguise, like a blessing in disguise, So anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Yes. I think, yeah. The life in samsara is full of challenge, full of difficulties, full of pain, sufferings. And so the samsara, the nature of samsara itself. So on top of that, why we shouldn't create more problem with our mind focusing too much on negativities. Life is already challenging by itself. On top of that, then we think our mind sometimes focus too much on negativities. and then it makes it even worse. You add up a lot of pain and suffering more. So it's better, to focus on the positive, And so in that way that our mind doesn't become overwhelmed, and lead us to, negative state of depression or all these different low negative state. If you focus too much on negativities, then that's what can lead to possible, it can, and so I think, we learn, and that's part of the mind training, long-term practice. Mind training is that, how we try to find positive in everything, and try to find positive in everything, even in those pain and sufferings, and through that, how we can transform the pain and sufferings onto the path, something positive, So yeah. So we'll do this.
Sorry. So I heard this somewhere along the line, but if at the end of your life you have not cultivated the idea of impermanence and practiced, the idea that everything is entropy, everything is falling apart as soon as it gathers itself up, and as you leave life, and as you die, you are in angst and anger, in suffering and denial and whatnot. Does that affect the next lifetime you take on?
In the Abhidharma Kosha and many of the Buddhist scriptures, they explain, at the end of the life, whatever your in your life, in this life, whatever practice, virtues versus non-virtues, whatever more stronger, that will make the result of that will manifest first. So, it is possible even at that time, if someone's mind is disturbed, agitated, with different emotions, frustrations, bitter, anger, whatever, someone's mind might be in that state. But in general, in their whole life, if they have lived more virtuous life, kind, compassion, and because of that, they have created so much of virtues and positive karma is overwhelming than the negative karma. Then even in such cases, the result of that positive karma will manifest first. So there is that in that. And if those karma, positive and negative karma, are equal, then whichever you are more familiar, that will manifest first. And if they are equal and even familiarity is similar, then I think whichever you did first one, then that manifests first. So there are in Abhidharma Kosha, that is that explanation, Baba Vasubandhu and also Asanga also explain similarly. So there's one that way, that is more general, and that, but also in some scriptures they also explain the importance of having more peaceful and, if possible, virtuous mind at the time of death, so that you can have a more better transitions and higher rebirth. So to have a more, if possible, in a virtuous mind, and even you cannot have virtuous mind, at least to have more, calm, peaceful mind. But also one of the things that I have been kind of thinking is, even when we see someone at the time of death agitated with all this disturbed and agitated very much and a lot of struggles, because that is still quite earlier of the growth level of the mind. And as they go more subtle level of that, if their mind started to be more peaceful after some time, then maybe it might not be that part, but the more peaceful mind, because that agitation is still very growth mind. And that ends, and then more subtle mind appear that after that, And so someone, even we saw them agitating, but later, after that growth mind, they could have more peaceful mind. So we cannot make for sure that they die with that agitated mind, because before the more subtle mind, they could have a peaceful, even which we cannot see immediately now, because the growth mind has ceased, and that is more subtle mind, so that doesn't manifest so much on physical level, so it's hard to see. And so therefore, even in that case, it is possible. We think that, he or she died with a lot of that, but afterwards they could go in that peaceful state of mind, and so that could have effect. Yeah. But of course, even when it's gross level, if you don't have to have all these struggles emotionally enough, because it's better, for everyone. Yeah, so we can do the dedications.
Where the book is.
You want to do it, sir?
All right. So we're going to dedicate the merit from this teaching to all beings experiencing obstacles. Specifically, Lynn, Paula's family, Mary Lutz, Annette, Bo, Mary, Gerald, Eric and Pia, Erlina V, Laura, Conan Brooks, Kathy, Brent, John, Julie, Jen, Nathan, Doug, Jana, and Karen. We'll also dedicate the merit to all those experiencing illness.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can I add one to that?
Of course.
Rolf,
Rolf.
yeah, for
Obstacles.
obstacles.
And also for illness, Deborah Whiteman, Bob McFarland, Reg, Amber Rose Lopez, Judy, Cece, Mariel, Dia, Tina Owen's father, Melina Arthur, Kathy, Brent, Mike, Melina Arthur, Marlene Alfaro, Tommy's mom, George H, Kathy, Randy R, John B, Jim B, Bodie the dog, and Yeshi the dog. We also dedicate for those beings who are dying or have died in the last 49 days. Albert Gallegos, Ray Meberg, Lottie, Prince, Annie Oak Tree, victims in Orlando, victims of fighting, Paula's mom, Alfred Gallegos, Ray Withrow, Andrew Else, Carol O'Loughlin, victims in Dallas, all victims of hate and misunderstanding, Charlie Weber. Krempe K, Morning Light, 17-year-old girl, Tulip, Melissa Naylor, Cody, and not sure. Fire, not sure about that. Pia.
I would like to add a name too.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay.
Russell Green.
Russell Green.
RUSSELLGREEN.
We'll also be this is for June. We'll also be starting a list for July, so you can put him on there as well. Oh, you did? Where?
This is last year.
Well, I wondered, but that's what was handed to me.
Actually, somebody turned the page.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
We had a new list here
Oh, yeah.
somehow. Impermanence.
Yeah.
So let's skip this.
Okay. All right. We're gonna add Allie P and Darlene G. And then we will make a new list
Okay.
on that page. All right, and also we dedicate for all beings everywhere on every prayer list. So we'll do our dedication prayers. Dedicate the merit that was created by listening to this teaching. We'll start with the general dedication prayer due to the merits of these virtuous actions.
And live all living beings without exception in the United States.
May the and may we'll dedicate for the health and long life of His Holiness Dalai Lama, whose birthday it is today, and he's 88 years young. So we will dedicate for his health and long life. The wish granting, wish fulfilling. To the end of the times and to the outro I receive. May all their quotations respond to His will. And for Oscarita, who's loved us in the incarnation, Venerable One, who kindness and sees that of all others, for those wandered and far on the places, my mind of your life, yeah.
We beg this to pass. Please, please.
May our venerable Lama's lives be firm, their wide divine actions spread in the 10 directions, and the torch of Losong's teachings dispelling the darkness of the 3 being all and all future lives. May we never be parted from the perfect lamas and pure ways of the Dharma. May we gain every experience of the path and stages and quickly attain the stage of holy diamond knowledge.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.